What's up, guys? Welcome to the line change. The Abbotsford Canucks just did something that hasn't been done in franchise history, and they did it in the most dominating fashion possible. Game 5 against Colorado wasn't just about advancing to the Western Conference Final, it was about proving that this organization has built something special from top to bottom. If you're wondering how a team that many counted out earlier this season is now 4 wins away from advancing to the Calder Cup final, you're in exactly the right place. We're breaking down every goal, every save, and every momentum swing that led to this historic victory, plus why this win tells us everything about what the future holds for the Vancouver Canucks organization. Let's go ahead and break down Game 5 between the Abbotsford Canucks and the Colorado Eagles. So, and here we go. It was do or die on a Memorial Day showdown for all the marbles in Loveland, Colorado. The prize, a trip to the Western Conference Finals to face, the Texas Stars. For the visiting Abbotsford Canucks, this was the biggest game in franchise history. They'd never reached the third round, let alone the conference finals, so a win would mark a historic milestone for the pride of Fraser Valley, and they couldn't have drawn up a better result. Despite an early surge from the Eagles, the Canucks struck back with 2 late first period goals, seizing momentum and never letting go. They followed with one of their finest periods of the postseason in the second, then sealed it with a commanding finish. Artur Silovs has a reputation for being a big game goalie, and his flawless 32 save performance earned him his 4th shutout of the postseason. Excuse me. From saves, goals, penalty kills, power play goals, and block shots, this was a full team effort for their biggest win in franchise history. Let's dive into how it all unfolded. As we usually do, let's take a look at the starting lineup for this game. It was the season's most crucial game, and Manny Malhotra was taking no chances. With Christian Wolanin back in the lineup, the team's defense was forced to sit one of its defenders in Game 3. That led to rookie defender Kirill Kudryavtsev seeing the press box treatment for 2 consecutive games. In that time, his ability to move the puck became incredibly missed, as the team had struggled with transition since scratching their prize rookie. He returned with Akito Hirose sliding out as the odd man. Up front, Danila Klimovic was back to being a healthy scratch after drawing back in Game 3. He took an undisciplined penalty at the end of the second period of Game 4, resulting in a late goal for Colorado and a stranglehold on the game. Malhotra went with Ty Glover in his spot, who drew in for his first game of the Calder Cup playoffs. He's the type of player who doesn't take shifts off, and thanks to a thrilling combination of size and speed, he would hopefully provide the team with tons of energy in a pivotal game. They mixed things up in the forward groups, bringing back the line with dominant shifts against the Coachella Valley Firebirds, Sammy Blais, Jujhar Khaira, and Nate Smith. Of course, things remained solid between the pipes with Artur Silovs seeing his 12th start of the postseason. You had your first line, Baines, Mueller, and Carlson. And then you had Nielsen, Sasson, and Lakramaki. So Manny Malhotra opting to have Ty Mueller as the first line center, dropping Max Sasson down to the second line. Then, of course, you had the line that we just mentioned, Blais, Jujhar Khaira, and Nate Smith. And then you had Glover, Waters, and DiGiuseppe as your fourth line. For your defensive pairings, you had Breezewall and Merck Ward on your first pairing, Wolanin and Wu on your second pairing, and Kudryavtsev and Mancini as your third pairing. And of course, the Artie Party, Artur Silovs in net. Let's take a look at the first period. The Abbotsford Canucks have struggled to get their starts in order, giving up early chances and even goals, and Game 5 was no different. While it never led to a goal, the Eagles pounced immediately, forcing Artur Silovs into the game right off the hop. First up was Ty Fellhaber, who took the Matthew Phillips crossfeed to force Silovs to slide over for an incredible save off the stretch. Next was Chris Wagner, who was left wide open in the high slot following a defensive breakdown. Luckily, he missed the cage off a high-grade chance. Colorado has a ton of speed in their lineup, and they were showing that off in spades. Even though they dodged a few bullets early, it was a nervous start for the visiting Canucks. Things did calm down over the next few minutes, allowing the Canucks or Archer Seelovs to catch their breath, but that was short-lived as the Canucks later took the game's first penalty. Linus Karlsson was handed a boarding penalty following a nasty hit to an Eagles defender, which he made too far from the boards. But we've talked about it for weeks, folks. The team's penalty kill has been nearly flawless, allowing just one shorthanded goal all postseason long. As expected, the Canucks killed the penalty, but it wasn't without its chances. The Eagles spent nearly the entire 2-minute stretch pressed in their zone with extensive pressure, but Seelovs was up to the task. As for the visiting team, it took 12 minutes for the Canucks to see their best chance, courtesy of a Ty Mueller backhand. That shot sparked a few close calls in tight where Arshdeep Bains looked to bang home his first of the playoffs. At the other end, Seelovs continued to stand tall. This time he set aside another Feilhaber shot, point blank, throwing up the blocker after a tremendous effort and pass from Matthew Phillips. And he wouldn't stop there. Jonathan Lekromacki took the Victor Mancini slot pass but had his shot attempts blocked. Off to the counterattack, the Eagles jumped up 3 strong for the odd man rush. Sticking with the shooter, Seelovs stood tall to keep with Ty Feilhaber again. He would stop the Eagles forward 3 times in the opening period, all of which were dangerous shots. That string of saves would prove crucial as the Abbotsford Canucks woke up in the final minutes and delivered an incredible 1-minute stretch. The Eagles took a high sticking penalty around the 3-minute mark, sending them to their first power play of the night, and they made it count. Abbotsford would score to make it 1-0. Linus Karlsson from Arshdeep Bains and Phil Di Giuseppe. Arshdeep Bains entered the zone before finding Linus Karlsson in the high slot. Fending off 2 defenders, Karlsson managed to unleash a shot to the far side corner to open the scoring. And then Abbotsford, just a minute later, would score their second goal to make it 2-0. Phil Di Giuseppe from Jet Wu. Jet Wu made a nice move at the blue line before gaining the zone. He dropped the puck off to a trailing Phil Di Giuseppe, who went top shelf short side on Trent Miner for his first point of the entire series. Veterans come up when you need them, right? After being outplayed for much of the period, a 1-minute stretch changed everything, and suddenly all momentum was on the away team. But Seelovs wasn't done saving the day. With Phillips looking to push back, he weaved forward. He weaved toward the front of the net before sending a perfect pass to the slot. With a wide open net, Seelovs slid over to make another massive stop. Just seconds later, he came up big again, stopping the redirection from the slot. The Canucks showed us what a single minute can do in a hockey game after being outplayed for most of the period. The Abbotsford Canucks took a 2-0 lead into the dressing room, and the shots after the first period were 8-7 in favor of Colorado. Let's move on to the second period. The early chances were Colorado's in the first period, but in the second, it was the Canucks who grabbed the best chances, nearly tripling their lead out of the gate. Off a bit of a broken play, Linus Karlsson was able to chip the puck to a breaking Ty Mueller. He wasted no time grabbing his sandwich to chip the puck on Miner, who flashed the glove for his best save of the game so far. But the Canucks were buzzing in the initial minutes, controlling the pace to grab several official shots in the opening 5 minutes and plenty more shot attempts. First, Tristan Nielsen had an attempt. Next up was Ty Mueller, who took the stretch pass before dropping the shoulder and driving the net. He chipped the puck just wide. From there, the game truly broke out. Despite being put into a spin cycle, Seelovs made another big save in his crease. Turning up the other end were Bains and Karlsson, who played give and go before Bains sent the cross-ice pass to set up a wide-open net for Karlsson. He just missed the connection for a chance to triple their lead. But all of that momentum wasn't wasted, and the Canucks did manage to extend that lead just before the midway point of the period. Abbotsford would score to make it 3-0. Cole McWard from Arshdeep Bains and Ty Mueller. The Canucks worked the puck up ice, where Bains left the puck for Cole McWard in the neutral zone and fired up the ice. Suddenly, he found himself on an odd man rush with his defensive linemate, Guillaume Brisebois. Holding the puck himself, he snapped home his first of the playoffs past the blocker side of Trent Miner. The Eagles' netminder had been terrific all series, and that's a goal he likely wants a redo. After arguably getting a little lucky to be up 2-0 after 20, it was all Abbotsford up to this point. Seelovs, held his end in the opening period while his team did their part from the 18-minute mark and on. But it wasn't just Seelovs either. The Canucks were returning to their defensive game, dropping down for several blocked shots and broken up attempts. It was a whole team effort, and the Canucks took a decisive 3-0 lead into the third. That momentum was squashed at the final buzzer. Uncontested, Sammy Blais delivered a late, undisciplined hit that put an Eagles skater on the ice for several minutes after the final whistle. While the hit was off camera, the player required help from teammates and trainers after taking his time. Blais was handed a 5-minute major and a game misconduct again. With 15 more penalty minutes tacked on, Blais now has 57 minutes combined. All were taken across 3 games, to which he had been handed a game or 10-minute misconduct. Luckily for the Canucks, the Eagles took a 2-minute penalty themselves. Instead of killing off a full 5-minute stretch to start the third period, they would begin with a 4-on-4 and 3 minutes of PK. Final shots after 2 periods were 17-15 in favor of Colorado. Let's move on to the third period. The Canucks would count their lucky stars that the Eagles took that retaliatory penalty as the period began with a 4-on-4 stretch, as we mentioned, and it started with a bang. Looking dangerous again, Matthew Phillips tossed a low far side shot towards Seelovs, who kicked the puck out. The problem was that he kicked it right to an Eagles forward. Somehow the puck trickled past the netminder and out of harm's way. The Canucks collected in the corner and began up the ice, with Ty Mueller gaining entry. He dropped the puck to Linus Karlsson, and Abbotsford would score their 4th goal of the game. Linus Karlsson from Ty Mueller and Christian Wolanin. He had his initial shot blocked by an Eagles defender. However, like his first goal of the game, he didn't quit on the play, fighting for possession. He grabbed the puck and threw the second effort toward the net, fooling Miner and squeezing through the blocker's side. And just like that, before the home team could even enjoy their 3-minute penalty kill, the Canucks would add another to sit out with a commanding 4-0 lead. That 3-minute power play came and went, with the Canucks coming up huge again on the PK. More importantly, they inched closer to the game's final buzzer. From there, the game sang a different tune. After playing a run-and-gun game, the fast-paced Colorado team had no response. The Canucks battened down the hatches, dropped back, and let the clock run down. Looking to get something going, the Eagles pulled their goalie with 6 minutes to go in the game, but Seelovs continued to stay sharp, setting aside any pucks that came his way. With time winding down, Phil DiGiuseppe iced the game on the empty net, and Abbotsford would score to make it 5-0. Phil DiGiuseppe and unassisted. Pressing in the Canucks zone, the puck was sent to the point where it hopped over the stick of an Eagle stick. Kicking on the Jets was PDG, who raced up the ice to place the puck into the empty net for his 2nd goal and 3rd point of the game. That was all she wrote. Unlike the first pair of periods, the Colorado Eagles had little pushback, while the Abbotsford Canucks played a clinical last 40 minutes. Meanwhile, Artur Seelovs continued his series-clinching dominance with 32 saves for his 4th postseason shutout and 3rd in clinching scenarios. Despite a nervous start, it was all Canucks from the 18-minute mark on, and for the first time in franchise history, they're going to the conference final. Now let's take a never mind. I thought they had ice times, but they don't. Oh wait, no, they don't. But final shots in the game were 32-24 in favor of Colorado. And yeah, so the Abbotsford Canucks advance to the Western Conference Final, as we mentioned. Next up is the Texas Stars. Game 1 starts on Thursday, May 28th at the Abbotsford Center. In this series, the Abbotsford Canucks will have home ice advantage. Games 1 and 2 will be at home. Games 3, 4, and 5 will be in Texas, and then games 6 and 7, if necessary, or actually what I should say is games 1 and 2 in Abbotsford, games 3 and 4 in Texas. Games 5, 6, and 5. Game 5 will be in Texas if necessary. And then as well as Game 6 and Game 7 will be in Abbotsford, both if necessary. But let me take a look at read out the schedule. So Game 1, as I mentioned, Thursday, May 29th. Or, wait. Yeah, Thursday, May 29th. Sorry. Did not mean to say May 28th. Thursday, May 29th is Game 1 at 7 p.m. at the Abbotsford Center. Game 2 will be Saturday, May 31st at 7 p.m. at the Abbotsford Center. And then Monday, June 2nd will be Game 3 in Texas. Wednesday, June 4th will be Game 4 in Texas. And then Friday, June 6th will be Game 5, if necessary, in Texas. Sunday, June 8th will be Game 6 in Abbotsford, again, if necessary. Then Game 7 will be Monday, June 9th at the Abbotsford Center, once again, if necessary. So that's going to do it for this game recap for the Abbotsford Canucks. Once again, the Abbotsford Canucks advanced to the Western Conference Final for the first time in franchise history. And I am, without a doubt, completely pumped for this. Obviously, this playoff run has given me some great content, and I've been covering Abby throughout this entire playoff run. And it's just great to have, some, I guess, playoff hockey involving the Canucks to some capacity, despite the Vancouver Canucks having not made the playoffs. But hey, Abby made it, and they're now going to the Western Conference Final. So I think everyone should jump on the Abby bandwagon if you haven't already, because these guys are the real deal as they get set for their Western Conference Final showdown with the Texas Stars. And what can I say about Artur Silovs? He's looking like the Artie of last year's playoffs. He's now, as I mentioned, 4 shutouts now in this postseason, 3 of them being in series clinching games. And he's making a believer out of me once again. So let me know in the comment section down below what your guys' thoughts are on this Abbotsford playoff run and the fact that we're going to the Western Conference Final for the very first time. And what are your guys' thoughts on Artur Silovs and how he's been performing throughout this playoffs? And who would you say has been the MVP for the Abbotsford Canucks up until this point during this playoff run? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, if you guys like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you want to stay up to date on all your Vancouver Canucks as well as your Abbotsford Canucks content, be sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on your notifications. That way you don't miss a single video. You can find us on social media. On Facebook, just search The Line Change to find our Facebook page. Find us on Instagram at The Line Change. You can find us on Twitter /X at LineChangeVan. You can also find us on TikTok at the.line.change.po. Feel free to give us a follow on all of our social media platforms. And of course, if you prefer an audio version of this podcast, you can find us on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts. On Spotify, feel free to give us a follow on there, as well as rate and review us. It is, of course, greatly appreciated. Now, Thursday, as I mentioned, is Game 1 of the Western Conference Final. And yeah, I will be doing a recap. Friday will be when I post my recap, as I'll be busy on Thursday, so I won't be able to catch the game. But I will be, keeping up on it, checking Twitter, seeing how the score is. And I also got something happening on Thursday which I will let you guys know soon, but it's something pretty big. And that's going to do it for this video. As always, as always, go Canucks go, and I'll see you guys in the next video.